Hi guys, my name is Sean. I'm a houseplant enthusiast from Jakarta, Indonesia. Welcome to today's video where I'm going to be sharing with you the care and propagation of the Philodendron verrucosum here. It is actually a very difficult philodendron to take care of. So I'm gonna dive right into the care. But first of all, let me talk about the physical properties of this plant. This has really beautiful pattern on the leaves. It's got very strong veins, dark leaves contrasted with light colored veins. And when you look at the back, which I'm going to show you some B-rolls, it's actually got a lot of purple. It looks like it's been burnt. Really interesting looking plant. And the best thing about it is that the petiole is fuzzy, it's hairy. And when the sun hits it just right, it actually shines in a beautiful, I don't know if you want to say rainbow color. It's an interesting color. It's not just green, because if I look at it right now, because it's cloudy, it's basically just green with the petiole itself is actually a little bit more maroon, but the hair is green. And yeah, it can get a little bit weird. I'm going to just insert photos on the screen so you know what I'm talking about. So this is a really beautiful plant. It comes from northern part of South America, just like most cool house plants. And the care for this is that they want medium indirect light. I noticed that when you give it a little bit of bright indirect light, it does curl up a little bit, but maybe that's because mine is not acclimatized to that condition. But I have mine grown in medium indirect light, and look at how well it's been doing. So I got this plant a long time ago, and it was actually only about this small. It was only, I would say 5 centimeters long. It was probably around like 10 months ago. And it was inexpensive when I got it, but the prices of these have now skyrocketed. They've gone crazy. So I'm really glad that mine is doing well and it's getting really big, and it's really time to propagate it because it is, getting very leggy. There's an empty vine here where the leaves keep falling off. And now it's just got 5 leaves, sorry, with one coming along the way. So sunlight, medium to bright indirect light. Never give it direct sunlight. I've actually burnt one leaf from direct sunlight. It only got a little bit of direct sunlight for a few minutes or even an hour, and it just got burnt. So be mindful of that. They also like to be on the, I don't know how to say, dry side. They don't want to be wet around the soil. So when you water them, just be mindful. I give mine really chunky aeroid potting mix, and I give it a terracotta pot, which means that it's gonna dry out really fast. But they don't want to be dried out too completely, because they will crisp up. The leaves are so thin, they actually don't really store a lot of water. There's Gia right there. Hey Gia, I'm busy, I'm working. Sorry, I can't play. But if you overwater it, it will give you some yellowing leaves, especially around the edges. That's when you know you're overwatering it. Then you have to find the right balance, basically. This plant is a little bit difficult. So what I do is I just hose this down lightly every day. And actually, this plant can acclimatize. So when I first got it, it does decline. The new leaves just didn't do so well. But now it's used to my daily watering habits, and it's just doing so well. So they're creatures of habits, I find. They don't like to be moved around. Whenever I move it, it will kind of fuss a little bit. It will shed a few leaves, or they will sacrifice a few leaves to maybe to tell me that it doesn't like it. But it's also very prone to bacteria, by the way. There's going to be spots on the leaves. This one actually, it fell into a Sansevieria. This keeps falling because this is so top heavy, and this one too. So you can see there are some tears. So it went right onto some sharp points of the Sansevierias. Sorry. They do unfurl really beautifully, and I hope that you guys can pay attention to your verrucosums when they unfurl. I wish I could do a time lapse, but I don't have time for it. They come out as this weird cocoon looking thing, and then they unroll. It's just quite a beautiful show. So these guys actually like to be very humid. Just like the melanochrysum and the micans, these are a little bit more velvety type leaves and very thin leaves, so they don't want to be in low humidity. So you may have to give it an extra humidity, but keep in mind what I mentioned earlier about bacteria and fungus. It doesn't like to be misted. Don't get the leaves wet. When you water this, don't hose down the leaves, because when you have water pool on the leaves, that's inviting bacteria and fungus onto the leaves. So to recap, sorry, because I keep digressing, medium indirect light is the best for it. Keep the soil or potting mix humid, slightly damp. Never let it dry out completely, but never let it sit in water. It doesn't like that. High humidity, do not wet the leaves. And one thing that I forgot to mention is that I actually do fertilize this the same way I do my other houseplants, lightly, and I dilute everything, whether it's chemical or natural fertilizer. And I don't really see any pests on these guys because they grow outside, although I see ants crawling around, and usually that may mean that there might be mealybugs somewhere, because a lot of philodendrons actually put out extra floral nectaries. I don't see them with this one, so I suspect that this may actually be a little bit pest infested. But I don't see it here. So maybe the mealybugs are hiding on the petiole or anything. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna treat this plant with pesticide anyway. I haven't done it in a long time actually. I can't remember the last time I treated this guy. But if you keep this indoors, it's going to be a spider mite central for you guys, just so you know. Spider mites, I don't speak for them by the way. I don't really know all the spider mites. But in my experience, the leaves that look like this, thin leaves that are fragile, sensitive, they do attract spider mites because when you're stressed out, you attract more pests than other plants. So keep that in mind. Did I cover everything? Yes, I did. So I'm going to quickly talk about the air layering that I did here. Actually prepared this plant up for cutting. This was done about 3 months ago and I procrastinated. I actually waited for this last leaf to unfurl because I don't want to be propagating while the leaf is soft or it's still unfurling, because that cutting is going to be in serious trouble. So I'd rather have it be established before I propagate it. So yeah, 3 months in air layering, and then let's get started, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to be opening this up for you guys, but before I mount my tripod, I wanted to show you guys the beautiful roots that are forming here. That's so cute. And this one I didn't put this cup over it, but I just simply wrap the moss around the node. So let's see what those roots look like soon. I actually don't know how I'm going to be propagating these yet. I'm going to go by instinct. So come along. This is so pretty right here actually. This is a good view for it. Look at that. It's just as nice from the back. But I digress. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so moment of truth. These are actually just plastic cups that were meant for orchids. I mean pots, not cups. They look like cups, but I just cut it open. It looks like this actually, sorry. Yeah, I just cut it open and they just used mailing tape to tape it shut basically. And then I just stuffed the inside with sphagnum moss. And this moss is actually very wet. You know what, I'm gonna cut it first because it might fall over. It's so top heavy. Okay, let me cut. You always wanna cut above one of the nodes, like this plant. Cut it off, no turning back. I may actually turn this into one plant, I don't know. I'm not sure if I wanna put this into, this is quite a good photo. Actually, you know what, I might take a photo for Instagram, like that. Yeah, I'm gonna do that, I'll be right back. And I'm back. So back to this cutting, I just wanna show you the leaves up close. Look at how pretty this is. And that's the new growth point that's happening. But if I look at this node from the previous leaf, look at this. This is trying to put out the roots. How pretty. Look at this pattern. Oh, the camera's not focusing. But this doesn't have enough roots, I think, to be its own plant, or does it? I don't know. Let me try to separate this. Because this is the roots for this node. Sorry, I'm not in frame. This is the roots for this node. So let me see if it's got strong enough roots to support it. No, it doesn't. This is all it has. So I don't know, do I want to be greedy? Do I want to cut this off? That's my question. Or do I want to, I'm just going to plant this, you know what? I don't want to be greedy. I don't want to kill this plant. This is such a precious plant. It's such a pretty plant and expensive plant. I think the price is about 4 to 5 times now from when I bought it. I'm going to put it straight into aeroid potting mix better because there's already some decent roots in here. So I don't know, or you know what? Hang on. I may actually put this in moss. I may do that. I've prepared a terracotta pot, but I'm not confident. Yeah, there's not that many roots. I'm not confident in putting this straight into soil. Okay, so I've got my clear plastic pot here. Let me move the camera down a little bit lower. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is, yeah, I'm just gonna put this here. And same with all my other sphagnum moss tips. Squeeze the water out of them. You want humid around the sphagnum moss, but you don't want it to get wet. Never get your sphagnum moss wet when you're propagating. It will rot the plant. It needs to just be airy. Do not compact your moss down when you're propagating. Squeeze any water out. Squeeze with all your might. And then just put it kind of like lightly, casually. Over, don't compact it. Yeah, see a pocket of empty space in there because it's not coming down. Okay, that's fine. As you can see here, there's a bit of airiness inside. That's fine. You don't want water to pull down here, down below. That's the most dangerous thing for sphagnum moss. So I want to shred it a bit. I see some here that are clumped up. I want to shred it, and then add more moss. All right. This is going to be very tricky to keep afloat because I think this pot really wants, I mean, it's top heavy. The leaves wants to fall over. And you want to be careful when you're dealing with hairy petioles like this. The main stem, thankfully, is not hairy. But when you have hairiness, it's a lot of surface area and a lot of chance for the plant to rot. Not going to water this today. I'm just going to water this maybe in 2 to 3 days time. Just keep it humid. This pot actually comes in handy. This is just the right size. I didn't even think about this. Perfect. And I may actually, because this already has some aerial roots here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a little bit of balanced fertilizer. This is 13-13-13. At this point, I wouldn't give it a high nitrogen fertilizer because it doesn't have a lot of leaves. It does need a lot of nutrients to put out roots and shoots. So when it's older, maybe I'll give it a little bit more nitrogen than it is now. No, I mean, I should put it a little bit higher up. Okay, there you go, perfect. Okay, back to the other cuttings. I don't know how many plants I'm gonna get out of this, so bear with me. So I guess I did forget to mention in the care portion of this video that this plant needs a moss pole. If you don't give it a moss pole, it'll get leggy, it'll fall down, it'll just clamber along the side, and it's not gonna produce big leaves, it's not gonna be happy. So you need to give it a moss pole if you want these really dramatic and big leaves. This is perfect for an anatomy lesson. So there's actually not a lot of roots in here. Let's see a little bit. So this may actually go in water because I'm not confident that this is going to do well in... Actually, you know what? There's quite a bit of roots here. I'm a little bit torn. Do I want to put this in sphagnum? I don't know. What do you think? But what I wanted to show you is this. Look at this. This is the growing eye. This is where the new vine will appear from. It's such a cute little cutting, isn't it? This is so cute. Do I want to do moss? I mean, water would be safer. I guess I'm going to do water for this, water propagation. But here's the thing, hang on. This is going to be difficult to find a vessel because it's going to keep trying to fall over. So do I want to do... I'm going to do moss, sorry, because I don't know, man. I don't want to deal with the vessel that will tip over all the time. Hang on, let me get more pots. This is very difficult to separate. Hang on. Ugh. Squeeze the water out, squeeze it out. And I don't want to put a lot of moss in there. I think this is enough. Very, very cute. And I may actually give it a coconut husk here. I just give it this so that it doesn't kind of fall over. Give it a little bit of support on the petiole. I don't know if you can see here. There. So it doesn't lean forward and fall off. Yeah. So this one I'm gonna open the plastic cup and then let's see what you look like. This is going to become a very long video, by the way. Just a disclaimer. Because we've got a lot of work to do. We're gonna do wet stick propagation on these. So I'm gonna just cut it first because I don't know how well it's gripped into the moss pole. I am pulling out some roots from the moss pole. It's rooted in really well and there's not much I can do about it. Also, I feel like I'm in a hurry today, so I'm sorry. But let's check the roots. There's some roots over here. Yes. And I can feel this. It's very hard to remove the moss from this plant, so I have a feeling that it's actually quite well rooted into this plant. And I don't want to mess with it too much. I'm going to give it another one of these cups. Okay, there you go. All right, moving on with our journey of cutting up this plant. Okay, so the last node is actually over here, so I want to cut it right above that. I see a growing eye. I'm so excited. Oh my god. Okay, so let me take this off. Beautiful. Look at that. There's a little bit of roots here, and something else is rooted into this moss. I'm not sure how much of it is rooted into it, but I'm just gonna continue putting this into moss. I do enjoy working alone. I don't like dealing with people. If you put more moss, there's more chances of it overwatering. So a little bit of moss will be fine. Nice. I have a feeling though that I'm going to be killing these. So knock on wood. An empty pot here that I will prepare some moss because we're going to do some wet stick propagations. Wow, this root is going around the plant. This is a lot of roots actually. I'm gonna yank the bottom part off. Okay, sorry. That must actually hurt. I'm so sorry. Okay, let me take this off. Yeah, that is a pretty nice root. It's quite long. Wow, this is going really, this is potted into the pot. I'm just gonna pull it out. Yeah, so this is really interesting cutting. It's gonna be a good wet stick propagation. And let me see, I thought I saw a growing eye. Where did you go? Right here. There you go, I don't know if you see here. That's a growing eye right there. See it? I don't know. Yeah, there. That's where the babies will come from. You know what? I'm actually gonna have to need to give it a separate pot. So I'm gonna prepare some sphagnum moss here, a little bit. And then I'm gonna start putting the roots in there. Get in there. Get in there, everyone. And then, kind of like this. And I want to have this facing up this way a little bit, so it's kind of like lying there. As you can see, that's a growing eye. And I'm just going to fill it in with a little bit more moss. Again, do not compact this and do not overwater this. This does not need a lot of water. And it's done. So this is actually a classic. Let me peel this open for you. This is a classic wet stick propagation. Sorry, I'm not in frame. Where there's actually no roots or whatever. I see some dried off aerial roots here, and then there's a growing eye over here. So if I put this on sphagnum moss like this, with the growing eye facing up, it should hopefully root. I'm doing this with a lot of epipremnums and monsteras, and they are doing quite well. So some people actually put saran wrap over this to seal in some humidity, because they do need that humidity to push out the new roots. So I may actually do that because this is such a precious plant, and I don't do that with my other plants. I'm so prejudiced, I'm sorry. There you go. Yeah, so that literally just came right off the main stem, which is interesting. Actually, look at that. Look at how thin this is. So this thin stem is supporting that whole plant that we had before, or those leaves right there. So I'm really happy that we propagated, because the plant will do much better when it's got a thick stem there, so it can transport nutrients and water more efficiently. But for this one, I'm definitely going to be cutting it up into pieces. And actually, you know what, for that pot, I'm gonna leave it alone. Who knows, there may be a node below that will give me more plants. There could be, just so you know. So we'll see in a few months' time. This is why I love plants. They're full of surprises. It's not the same every day. So I'm gonna cut these up into single nodes, and I'm gonna just put it in this pot. And you know what they say, don't put all your eggs in one basket, but I'm gonna do it because I have too many things going on. So don't be worried if you lose leaves, your leaves die off, you're gonna have these cute little nodes that may give you plants. They're all potentials. I counted, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I counted 9, so that's great. I may actually, I don't know, can they all fit in here? I don't know, let me see. This is a pretty small pot, actually. Yeah, so out of 9, we'll see how many of them will survive, if any of them will survive, I'm not sure. It's getting really crowded, really crowded in there. Yeah, so my strategy is I'm gonna saran wrap this thing, and then of course it's gonna have a lot of condensation in there. That's how I'm gonna know that it's still humid inside. I'm gonna open it up to give it some fresh air once every few days, maybe once every week. And if it gets too dry, I may spray it, mist it a little bit, give it a little so it's not dried out completely. But yeah, I'm not gonna be watering this. This is still pretty humid. So let me do a quick recount for you guys. I'm gonna take this camera off the tripod. So I've got this wet stick. I've got this parent plant that hopefully will give out more vines. But I don't want to water this, by the way. I want to keep this on the dry side because there's not enough leaves to photosynthesize, so it doesn't need water at this time. Keep it on the dry side. This is that first wet stick that we got. So we've got one. Sorry, let me show you the front. 1, 2, 3 in sphagnum moss, 4 in sphagnum moss. So we've got potentially many plants out of this, hopefully. So I guess I'll see you guys in a few weeks or months. I have a feeling they are slow growers, but I've been proven wrong before. So let's see. Welcome to a 6 weeks update on the verrucosum propagation. I'm quite surprised by how fast they actually propagated. I thought that they would be very slow to propagate, and I grouped all these plants here. These are all my propagations. So I guess they are getting that ambient humidity, even though it's already 80 to 90% humidity out here. And I actually want to tell you a crazy story. So remember that we had a parent plant in an empty pot. So I had a lot of those pots that are empty, either some begonias or whatever have died in there. In fact, I'm going to link a video up above of a video that I showed of plants that grew back from dead stumps. And so I have a lot of those empty pots. And what happened is that one morning I came downstairs after waking up, and my dad and his gardeners butchered those pots. They basically took everything out and mixed everything together to make a completely new media, because as you know, my dad has started to get into plants lately, so he did that without my permission, and I am so angry. I was so mad, but I guess that's the price of having Asian parents. I'm sometimes kind of in conflict with my own culture, because it is truly very difficult to deal with my dad. And yeah, anyways, I don't mean to berate or share my personal stories in public, but that is what happens, and I'm very quick to forgive. I just know that next time I need to move out. I need to get my own place. I need to have my own system for plants. Hopefully one day I'll have a nursery too. But anyways, enough talking. Let's talk about these plants. So again, the parent plant is gone. We don't have that pot anymore. This is a baby verrucosum that grew from the wet stick. This is so cute. I see some cute roots that are appearing here, so the root system must be pretty robust. This is very nice. And this one contains 3 of the, or 4 of the, oh yeah, there's 4 of those 4 wet stick propagations. I don't know if you can count all 4. I'm gonna give you about 5 seconds to count them, but this is so cute. And this time I was really smart. I decided to put all the plants together, because normally I put them everywhere. I don't label these wet sticks, so I don't remember who is who, but in this case, they're grouped together, so now I know who everybody is. And let's have a look at these plants. This one particularly has put out a new leaf. Look at that. Oh my god, in just 6 weeks. Look at the root system, is doing really well. So it is a little bit wet right now, I just watered it, but then by the end of the day, the sphagnum moss becomes light brown in color. Right now it's a little bit wet. And as you can see, the condensations here. Sometimes I would peek from my bedroom here. I would look below it to see if there's condensation. If there is, I just don't water it, just leave it alone. But if it's bone dry, I kind of water it lightly. Do not overwater your cuttings, you guys. And this is so cute. I need to just bring your eyes to this. Look at that. That is so beautiful. And then moving on next, I've got this one. And then let's look at the inside. I don't see any new growth yet. I need to be careful. I need to check it out. Check it out. Okay. Hang on. I may need 2 hands. Oh, hang on, do you see that? That is in fact a new growth point. Yeah, I need to move the coconut husk out of the way. Yeah, that is a new growth point. This is a little bit slower, but it's gonna do well. So yeah, I put this coconut husk here to keep it so that the petiole doesn't kind of like fall over, but yeah. And then, hang on, next up we have this one. This is the top growth. This is actually the most precious one out of all propagations. The top cutting is worth the most because it's going to produce the biggest leaf. I can't remember, I believe when I propagated it, this had one leaf with this one unfurling, but then it did completely unfurl and then it put out a new leaf, and this one is perfect. So don't worry, your old leaf, when they get stressed, they're going to give you those, what do you call it, bacteria and fungal spots here, but the new leaves are usually perfect. So, and then it's trying to put out a new leaf too, look at that. This is pretty fast to grow. Let me take this out of the pot. So the terracotta is basically just to anchor this so this doesn't fall over. This is actually on the dry side. Look, there's no condensation. So let me see, I may have to water this soon. Yeah, it is a very hot day. I don't know if you can tell. So this needs to be watered, especially if it's a hot day. But I do water this lightly. Look at those roots, that's amazing. So they have these really fine roots for philodendron, and I see ants here. So the ants are here for the extra floral nectaries. All the philodendrons actually have ants, and the ants are protecting them from pests. So yeah, they don't like to be dried out completely. As you can see, the roots are so fine, and I have a feeling these guys, they need to be treated a little bit like an anthurium. So when I do pot these up into my aerate potting mix, which I will do soon, I'm not going to show it to you in the video because there's so many videos of me potting plants up. You guys are probably bored by that. But I'm going to leave the moss on as much as possible because I have a feeling this plant is really like an anthurium. It does like a little bit of that airiness, humidity around the roots. So the sphagnum moss is going to be good for it. It doesn't want to dry out completely like most philodendrons. And finally, last but not least, this one is such a cutie. Look at this one. It's put out a new leaf. The new leaf is so cute. Look at that. It looks like an inflorescence actually, but I know that this will burst into a new leaf. So let me look at the roots. It's a little bit wet, so you can't. Oh yeah, look at those roots. It's gone down of the pot. This is so exciting. Yeah, these are all ready to be potted up, so I'm gonna do that soon. Maybe not right now because I have a lot of videos to edit. So here's the 6 weeks update, and I'm so sorry I'm doing a voiceover now because I recorded this video with my mic off as usual. And don't mind my messy bedroom, I have a lot going on in my life right now. But this one cutting is doing quite well. It put out 2 leaves already, and as you can see, the new leaf is looking beautiful, perfect, and it's going to just get bigger and bigger. This main leaf, the one that we propagated with, is going to be a little bit more stressed out, so don't worry about that. And this is how you mount a plant up a moss pole. You want to let the aerial root kiss the moss pole so that humidity or some misting will help the roots grow into the moss pole, and this will encourage bigger and bigger leaves ahead. And next up, this one cutting has put out 1 new leaf, and it's looking really nice. That philodendron 69686, if I'm not wrong, it's in the way. So yeah, I believe the first leaf has fallen off. So these 2 are actually new leaves, and I put it in a beautiful terracotta pot. Unfortunately, this is a little bit bitten by pests, but that's okay because it's putting out a new leaf. These guys are always continuously growing, so I don't mind that. And finally, we have a very slow grower here. This guy is only put out 1 leaf, and the main leaf that we propagated with is a little bit stressed out, but that is very, very common. And this one is still in sphagnum moss, so yeah, it's taking its time, but it's putting out very healthy leaves, so I'm happy to see that. I'm gonna be potting this up soon into aerate potting mix, and I'm gonna be burying this pretty deep because I want this node here to be under the potting mix. I want it to root into the mix. Next up here are the babies. These are the wet seed propagations. I ended up with so many plants. I'm glad I did not throw away the nodes. So when you guys have these empty runners or nodes with no leaves, feel free to propagate them because they will turn into full plants. And this is going to take a while, but I'm a patient man. And finally, this one is the bigger one, sorry, because it's got a thicker stem to begin with, so it's doing really well. It's put out 3 leaves, and the newest leaf actually has a little bit of red tint to it already, which means that it's probably a teenage size now. So this is going to be pretty fast growing from now on. I actually bought this plant at this size about a year ago. So look at how many plants I have now from just a plant this size 1 year ago. Yeah. Last but not least, this is the parent plant. Last but not least, this is the top cutting that we had before. And keep in mind, I do have them facing outside of the balcony, and a lot of you guys are keeping your plants facing towards you, when in fact it should be facing towards the light. So be mindful of that. They actually grow better when they're facing outside rather than facing into the room. So yeah, look at how beautiful this looks with the backlight. And this plant has put out 2 extra leaves since our last update. So in a month and a half, it's put out 2 leaves, which is amazing because we had, I think, about 3 leaves in the last update. So it's just a pretty fast grower. And as you can see, the new leaves are perfect. Look at those ants, they're congregating on the leaves. I don't mind it because these ants are here for the extra floral nectaries, which philodendrons do put out, which means that the ants are protecting the plant from pests, so I'm not worried about it at all. And as you can see, the leaves are perfect. So if you have been struggling with the verrucosums, give them proper care and give them some time, because the new leaves will adapt to your space better than the old leaves. And do not mist them where possible so you don't have all these bacterial and fungal spots. So thank you so much for watching these videos. I'm at Botanist on Instagram. If you want to DM me on any questions regarding plant care and propagations, I'll try my best to get back to you. Meanwhile, do take care and stay safe. I will see you in the next video. Bye.